Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Royal Instinct. Today we are diving deep, diving deep into the loneliness epidemic. It is getting worse for the people. Okay, nobody is dating anymore. Nobody's having sex anymore. The future of the world is dwindling. Okay, it's not really a bad thing if you think about it. Is it a good thing? Right? There's already nearly 10 billion people in the world, right? The global population is a bit much, isn't it? It's a little bit too many people on the planet. Do we need to get rid of them? Are they getting rid of themselves? Have we created a scenario where now we live in a globalized society and we're like, okay, some people shouldn't have children and we need those numbers to go down? Do you know who I sound like? I sound like a global elitist. Okay. This is what the global elites want. They look at and they have disdain and disgust for everyday people, for normal people. They look at the everyday society of people, what they're doing with their lives. Okay. And they're disgusted by it. They're disgusted by you. They're disgusted by the people delivering their food, working manual jobs, working in the economy. They're like, ew, that is disgusting. Okay. And that is why the global elites want to create this scenario where you are not, as a normal hardworking man, as a normal hardworking lady, not good enough to be part of the dating market. Okay, you do not get to pass on your genes to the next generation. They want you in a state of absolute despair, absolute fear. They want you basically so stressed out, so poor. They're causing inflation around the world. Okay, with their policies. They are the ones who want you, not to be able to have the life that you always dreamed of, right? But if you go on social media, if you consume any type of content online, right, the stuff that you kind of dream of is flashed before you every day of the week, every day, every moment of your life. Do you know what? Like the times of the world right now, it'd be fine if we didn't fucking see how the rich lived, how successful people lived. Okay, if we didn't fucking have all these people posting their fucking affluent lives, their luxury lifestyles online, but because we fucking see it online, we want to kind of experience it. Do you get what I mean? Like if I ever met somebody and they said, look, there's this thing called, strawberry ice cream. It's fucking delicious. I would want to try it. I would want to try it. Okay. And then if you have somebody who's like, saying that, hot, hot blonde chicks from Ukraine are very attractive, I kind of want to fuck them. Do you get what I mean? I want to experience everything, right? I want to experience everything that the world has to offer, right? But I'm somebody who realized living a normal life, living within the society script that they tell you to live by, doesn't quite work out. Okay, I'm somebody who went to university, graduated with a degree in economics. I'm somebody who worked within finance. Okay, worked with some of the biggest banks in the world. Okay, Barclays Bank, J.P. Morgan, you name it. I've fucking worked there. Deloitte, financial institutions, global management consultancies. I have been there, and all you are, you turn up every day wearing a fucking expensive tie and suit. But in essence, you're just a cog in the machine. You're just somebody there to push a pen. You're somebody there to make sure that the society is running. With your hard work, your time being wasted while other people kind of get to enjoy the rewards off of your labor. Okay. And we've got to a point in society now where the dating pool, women don't want to be with somebody who is just a wage slave. Okay, women don't want to be with somebody who is just barely making enough money just to eat their fucking meals every day, to live, pay for the housing, right? They want to have fun. They want to have fun. They want to experience life. They want to have fun, novel experiences. They kind of want to have they want to live a life where they can then flex on other people. It's all about flexing if you think about it, right? If you can't flex on other people, are you even living life? If you can't show off, right? Like, what is the point of doing anything? What for your own self-esteem inside your own heart? Do you get what I mean? I mean, if you want to experience that, you can go meditate in your fucking bedroom, and then you'll be out of depression, right? But why is depression at an all-time high? Okay, why are we living in a time where people are feeling more lonely than ever? Because the Buddhists, the meditators of the world, right, the people who believe in higher spirituality, right, like just go into your bedroom and fucking pray, right? But okay, like a prayer is free, right? But why are we not doing it? Because it's fucking bullshit, right? Religion's got its fucking perks. It creates community. It creates a cohesive alignment in how to live a life. Okay, and then when you live within that framework and you meet like-minded people, it's a great thing, because what life is really about, right, is about finding like-minded people. Right. And as long as you are around like-minded people, people who understand who you are, what you believe in, what you want to achieve in the world, how you want to live your life, you're going to have a good life. Okay. But at the moment, we live in a society which is dictated by the algorithms, by the things that we see online. And because once we are viewing these things, it pushes us into different corners of the internet. Okay. We see things that we normal people don't have access to. Okay. Do you have access to a private yacht? Probably not. Okay. And you're missing out on a aspect of life, right? Nobody wants to experience shit things in life. People want to experience good things in life. Okay. And one of those good things is apparently a yacht in the middle of the Mediterranean, surrounded by fucking Russian escorts. Okay. Russian sugar babies. Why Russian? Because they're very attractive, right? That is where society say that is what they're trying to feed you. Okay. And everybody should get the opportunity to try it once in their life, just so you can fucking try it and be like, yeah, this is bullshit, and you can move on with your life. But as long as you don't experience it, it's always going to be fucking itching in the back of your head, thinking that, oh man, that I really want to do that, and if I don't do it, my life is shit. Many people think like that. Okay, it's the wrong way to go about it. And because we are all stuck online, because we're all stuck in these echo chambers, it's leading people within the society to live lives that aren't aligned with each other. Okay, because women, right, they are being fed content about how to live the life and be prosperous, be a girl boss, live a feminine empowered life. Okay. And men, on the other hand, they're kind of like what's the positive messaging for men? Or be stoic, be disciplined, work hard, you know um fuck a lot of women, get a lot of experience, but also be aware that women are, that you can't really trust them. Like, okay, if you can't really trust it, like the nice thing in life is knowing that you can trust somebody, right? It is when somebody has your back, it's when you can experience it. Okay, but because if you can't trust somebody, you might as well just fucking pay an escort, have sex with them, and move on, right? The nice thing in life is when somebody has your back. But that is what many people, because we live in these echo chambers, aren't able to experience, and it is causing the division within society. A society that kind of is trying to claw back its old rules, but live by its old rules in a modern world where even if you live by those rules, you don't really prosper. Okay. And we are now going to watch a video discussing the loneliness epidemic, the trials and tribulations of the next generation, and why they aren't having sex.
Picture a country where 1 in 4 young men hasn't been touched by another person in over a year.
Okay, so if let's say, for argument's sake, we're gonna just round up numbers. Okay, so there's about 10 billion people in the world, right? So 5 billion of those are men. 1 in 4 of those 5 billion, so 1.25 billion people, okay, within these, across the world, aren't being touched, right? They're not having sex. I know some of them are, not between 18 and 30, but let's just work with those numbers. Okay, that means that whole group of people aren't going to reproduce. Okay, nobody gives a fuck. Okay, because really, throughout society, only 50% of men, throughout all of history, have been able to pass on their generation, their genes to the next generation. Now we live in a time where human labor isn't even worth anything anymore. Okay, because AI is coming, AI robots are coming to take over, so they will be displaced. This number is going to rise. This number will keep increasing until only the right type of men are able to reproduce, and most women, that they'll always get a baby. Okay, most women will be able to have a child.
No kiss, no date, nothing. That country is yours. In the early 2010s, about 9% of American men in their 20s and early 30s said they had no sex in the past year. By 2022, that number had nearly tripled, 24%, 1 in 4. Women climbed too, from 8% to 13%. still rising. The share of Americans having sex at least once a week collapsed. 55% in 1990, 37% in 2024, an 18-point drop.
I mean, if you think about it, we live in a time where we have technology connecting us more than ever. Okay, dating apps is a thing, right? Literally, you can sit in your fucking bedroom and organize a fucking orgy if you wanted, right? You've got the tools, you've got the technology, but why is it not happening? Why in a time? Why in a world when we have more technology ever to help us find a mate, to find us, to help us connect to people, we actually end up more lonely? Okay, because many people are divided, right? They don't have people around them who understand them. They don't have people around them who understand what they're about, what their values are, what their beliefs are. Okay, and this is, look, life is shit. For most people, life is shit, okay? Because all you gotta do is look at the internet. You gotta look at studies about loneliness is an epidemic, apparently. Depression is on the rise. Social anxiety is on the rise, okay? So you have all these things that are bad increasing all the time, okay? Um, in a time where really we actually got it the best ever the world has ever been in terms of technological advancements, in terms of where we are within the global history, in terms of advancements and great things that we have access to. Okay, but people are feeling worse than ever before, right? You really have to think that it is because people aren't aligned anymore. Whereas before pre-technology in the 90s, for example, like if you wanted to meet someone, you had to go down to your local pub, right? You had to go down to your local pub, you had to fucking go there, you had to speak to people, you had to have real, I mean, people say communication skills, right? It is just being a fucking normal person, right? Communication skills are just being a normal person who's able to say, "Hey, how you doing? Are you okay? Yeah, I like football. Do you like football? Oh, okay. Like, yeah, And then you speak to a girl, like, oh, what do you do? Oh, you're a hairdresser. Oh, okay, your hair's nice. Do you do it yourself? Blah blah blah. And then you have you get drunk together and then end up having sex, and you can start a relationship. Like, it was literally that simple. And then you then you had algorithms come in, you had fucking online dating come in, and now it like people are having less sex. Like, people literally used to say to someone, "Oh, I think your hair looks pretty. Can I get your number?" Right? And then they literally start dating and end up having a family, end up having children, end up having grandchildren, like have this amazing fucking life together. Now we live in a society where you can send someone a DM, you can say the same thing. Oh, by the way, I think your hair looks nice. And people having less sex, like something's going wrong. Okay. Something is absolutely going wrong, which is why um, you know, it's because we are in these echo chambers, because we are in these corners of the internet. Everybody is trying to make a living, everybody's trying to get rich online, everybody is selling this fake lifestyle, right? And then I'm somebody, right? I started this channel, for example, because I'm like, right, if there's 10 billion people in the world, right? Like, I want to find like-minded people so I can form like a small community for myself of like-minded people. And so I'm broadcasting to the internet to find like-minded people, people who have the similar sort of beliefs that I do, people who have a similar sort of mindset, share the same values that I do, who want to come together and do something to change the world. That is what we are doing. That is why we are here. This is what I am sending out a bat signal. I am assembling the Avengers. If you want to be part of it, if you enjoy the shit that I put out, let me know, man. It'll be cool to hear from you.
But this goes far deeper than the bedroom. Americans used to spend over 6 hours a week with friends. Now the average person gets 35 minutes a day of face-to-face socializing. Teenagers who used to hang out for over 2 hours a day after school are down to 40 minutes. The rest of that time swallowed by screens. 9 hours of screen time every single day.
So people spend more times with their on the internet with their devices, consuming content online. Okay, and it's causing real friendships to disappear. The thing is, if you don't have real friendships, you don't have real people who care about you. Um, you know, you're always going to feel at a disadvantage in life, okay? Because no one's got your back, right? Because if you ever had a real friend in your life, if you had that support mechanism, even if you're the most confident person in the world, it's good to have somebody who has your back no matter what. Okay, and that is what we need to create. That is what we need more of. Okay, this is why I'm creating the amicis. Amicis means friendship, friends in Italian. I'm bringing together a group of 100 people, 100 kings that I am, building, helping build 100 kingdoms to form an alliance, a royal alliance of kings, to bring together new ideas, okay, to bring together new ways of thinking about the world, to bring together creative solutions to help the people of the world, okay, because many people are being led astray. The elites don't give a fuck about you. They are trying to keep you down. They want you more isolated, right? If you're only spending 40 minutes after school with your friends, okay, they want that number down to zero. They want you to fucking go to school online. They want you to log in online to meet, to watch TikTok, to watch, shit, YouTube shorts, Instagram shit, so that they can feed and brainwash you, the type of content, the type of things that they want you to believe in. They want you under their control. They want you weak. They want you easy to manipulate. That is why they will stay winning, because that is the infrastructure that they are building. This is why I'm leaving the system. I'm checking out. Okay, I am moving away. This is why I am buying my own private island. This is why I'm building my own nation. Okay, because I am trying to find like-minded people to come together to share ideas so that we can overthrow the evil ruling elites. Okay, I mean, all we're gonna do is look at the WEF, the World Economic Forum, see what its agenda is, the Agenda 2030, and see what the planned world will look like in 2030, 4 years away from today. Okay, so we have a short window of opportunity before these evil plans get put into place. Okay, before we live in a 24-hour surveillance state where we live under CBDCs, where they will tell you where you can spend your money, what you can use with your finances to buy, and literally they're taking away your freedom. Okay, and if you value your freedom, if you value your autonomy, you need to do something about it. That's what we're all about. That is what I am doing. If that sounds good to you, if you also believe that that is how you want to live your life, that you're somebody I want to hear from. Okay, I want to hear from those people. I want to be, those people. Those are the types of people that I want to be friends with, right? And in a world where literally, like, even if you got a group of friends, right, most friendship groups look like this. Okay, that you come together, you meet together to, you know, it, instead of spending the weekend being lonely, you're with other people. Okay, which is great. Great. Okay, I truly believe that is a great thing. But then what do you do with your friends? You literally take the piss out of each other, right? Saying like, oh yeah, this guy, like he can't pull. Okay, like your friends will literally belittle you to try and get some status points within the fucking group. Okay, they want to be the big Billy Big Dog within the group. They will put their own friend down in order to make themselves look better, feel better. Okay, that the type of friend that you want to be around with? Or would you rather be around a friend who understands you and wants to build you up, who wants to improve your life, who wants you to live the best possible life, okay, to reach your full maximum potential, right? I want to be around people who have the ambition to become kings, to be the rulers of the world, okay? And if you think, fucking hell, man, this guy's an idiot, this guy's crazy, he's talking about ruling the world. Trust me, okay, the world is going to shit. Okay, we are going to be the only solution. If you want to have that first mover advantage, if you want to be the one who is winning, who is in control of the world, because if we bring together a group of 100 people who all have good intentions, right, we're going to be the ones who actually have the best intentions for the people of the world, right? And because we have good intentions, this is why we will win, because we are good people. We want people to prosper. This is why we are doing what we are doing.
79% of Gen Z says they feel lonely. The average person now says they have 2 close friends. It used to be 5. 1 in 6 men says he has none. South Korea just posted a fertility rate of 0.75, the lowest any nation has ever recorded in human history. In Japan, over half of men in their 20s are virgins. China saw more marriages disappear in a single year than some countries have people. And the part nobody wants to talk about? Young men and young women are no longer just drifting apart romantically. They're splitting apart ideologically.
Yeah, and the thing is, because they're splitting apart ideologically, that is the main issue. Because before, like, like no one really give, like, especially if you're in your fucking early 20s, like you should not give a fuck about politics, right? If you're in your early 20s, like, um yeah, great, like, have an ideology, I guess, right? But you shouldn't, like, it shouldn't be your fucking main personality. Oh, I'm a Republican. Oh, I'm a Democrat. Okay. Oh, yeah, I vote Labor. Oh no, I vote Conservative. Like, it is absolute bullshit. Like, you should be out there having fun, experimenting. Okay, listening to different ideologies, experimenting, assessing the world. But because the world is in this sphere where you have this all information is kind of being, driven to the most dumbest denominator. Okay, being condensed to be consumed by the same type of person, right? You know because we're all trying to, send out, content to be reached by the most amount of people. um so we can get the most views, the most clicks. We're trying to make it as, as simple to consume on a broad basis. Everybody's becoming this very, diluted, broad person, right? And because we're all living, and then to stand out in an echo chamber like that, you have to be kind of, edgy, and you have to fucking make extreme comments, which is what is dividing the genders, right? Because women are looking for, they're looking for safety and the ability to um, you know um, strived within the job market to have, equal footing alongside men. And then what's the rebuttal to that from, on the other side? It is men coming along, being misogynistic, saying that, we need to go back to the 1950s. We need to go back to the way it was because that was a good time for men. Yeah, it was a good time for men, but it was a shitty time for women, right? Like, and I think we can move past it without being separated ideologically. Okay, and then the thing is, like, and then what you can have is, you can have a man who champions women to try and look like, like, oh, like, I'm a male feminist, and then they'll get support from women, and it's all performative, right? And then you have the same thing with a woman saying, like, oh, I understand the plight of men, let me make content about that, be this trad wife. Okay, and then that is exploiting, and men, and another performative act, right? And everything's become performative. Like, I think if you're watching content now, you can't really, even if you're watching my shit, right? Like, just try to imagine, like, what my angle is. Okay, just try to imagine where I am trying to trick you into fucking, um, talking to me into following my shit. Okay, the thing is, like, I tell you the truth, I'm somebody, I couldn't give two fucks. I couldn't give two fucks. Like, I'll do it because I know, right? Like, if I was watching this type of video and I was listening to somebody who I resonate with, right, I would follow that person. Okay. Um, but if I was watching somebody and I think that person full of shit, I won't watch that shit. I'm just trying to find the right people who resonate with the way that I talk. So that's why I, most of the time now, especially like, this year, I've just live streamed. That is why I've just, I put out content every day for 1 hour. I download the video, I play it, I comment on it, off the top of my head, right? Not scripted. You're not going to see no fucking sharp edits, right? You're just going to see me raw, unfiltered, saying whatever it is that I want to fucking say. And sometimes, most of the time, right, the people who watch my shit, who like my shit, who subscribe to my shit, they think like me. Okay, I've got about like 130 subscribers, I believe, right? Like, to me, that's really cool, right? Like, obviously, it's not like 100,000, it's not a million people, right? It's 130 people, subscribers I've got on the internet, saying shit that I think in my head all the time, right? So that means in the world, right, in this whole universe, there's 130 people who who think like me, right? I think that's fucking cool, and that is a great tool. I'm trying to find 100 people that I can connect with, not only subscribe to my shit, that I can connect it with in real life, so that we can build shit with, so that we can come together, and build real communities. I've already met some people who I'm helping launch their own YouTube channels, so that they can make money online, so that they can, start their own kingdoms. That is what we're about. That is what we're doing. That is why we are staying winning.
The gender gap in the 2024 election was 31 points. Young men swung to the right, young women went further left. They're consuming different media, adopting different values, and building separate.
I mean, a scenario like this kind of says that men and women, aren't aligned. Okay, because if they're voting on the other side of the spectrum, they're not aligned. Okay, so that means if men are winning, women are losing, and if women are winning, men are losing. Okay, that means the only way that we can fix it, okay, is I believe if we are proactively trying to not champion men, not champion women, but champion family households. Okay, because if you have a couple who start a family, right, that group of people should be in the center, right? If you have women over here, if you have men over there, then relationships and couples should be in the middle, okay? But the thing is, then the women that are over here, the men who are over here, they're they're not optimizing themselves to be in a relationship, which is why they'll never meet themselves in the middle. So the whole content, the manosphere and the feminist movement, the feminist content on the, they divide people. Whereas, the feminists, what the feminist leaders, okay, feminist content creators, what they need to do is they need to make content and discuss how to meet men in the middle, right? Because they're the leaders of that movement. And the manosphere people like Andrew Tate, instead of people like Fresh and Fit, I guess, they, instead of saying like how shitty women are, right, they need to be like, okay, how do we work with women and create a scenario where we can build relationships? But nobody is doing that. Nobody is doing that, and I don't think nobody is. Okay, nobody is even going to do it, which is why I'm not attempting to do it. Okay, like like I don't think human beings are going to be built like that. Okay, um, I think the only thing that you can do for yourself now is, enjoy every moment of your life. Enjoy the time that you're spending on Earth. Enjoy how much time you have left on Earth, right? And how do you find what you enjoy? Okay, only you as a person, right? Every person's built different. Only you know what you enjoy in life. Okay, that is why you need to be in your, what I call, your life genius zone. Okay, you need to be in your zone of genius. You need to be doing whatever it is that your life purpose is, right? And there are some things that you're naturally drawn to, right? If you're naturally drawn to painting, right, like explore that. If you're naturally drawn to woodworking, do that, right? If you're naturally drawn to, Game of Thrones, explore that, right? You need to become a subject matter expert. You need to become somebody who is seen as a point of authority. That is what we're doing on this channel. We are building ourselves up to be points of authority, to be built up to be subject matter experts, so that we can be seen as people who are in charge, people who are leaders. Because what does the world need right now? Okay, if everybody's divided, it needs leaders to bring together and unify people, right? And I'm not talking about unifying and leading everybody, right? I'm just talking about bringing together 100 people, right? And that is what my mission is. My mission is to bring together 100 people, 100 kings, to come together so that we can build 100 kingdoms, build up 100 subject matter experts, so that we can, share ideas. People who have your back, who really care about you, who care about your success. Wouldn't you want to be part of a group like that? Right? I want to, right? I want to be a part of a group like that, right? Which is what I'm trying to create. Okay, I'm trying to find like-minded people. And if you are somebody who also wishes that there was something like this, okay, then you might be the right person for it. Okay, but the decision is up to you. This is why we are the ones who are challenging authority. We're the ones who are thinking outside the box. We are the ones who are building our platform to become the new de facto rulers of the world. We are going to become the new world order. We are going to overthrow the evil elites who are at the top.
Realities, and neither side has much interest in crossing over. This is a story about loneliness, screens, economics, politics, dating apps, cancel culture, the death of the cold approach, and the quiet vanishing of an entire generation's intimate life. This is why Gen Z isn't having sex. Alright, before we get into opinions, ideology, or blame, let's lay out what we actually know. Because we know a lot. The federal government has been tracking Americans' sexual behavior for decades through some of the most respected surveys in social science. The National Survey of Family Growth, run by the CDC, is one of the gold standard data sets. And the numbers from its 2022 and 2023 wave hit like a truck. Among Americans aged 22 to 34, 24% of men reported zero sex in the past year. That's up from just 9% roughly 10 years earlier. Not a gentle slope, a cliff. For women in the same age bracket, it went from 8 to 13%. Not as sharp, but still a 50% jump in a
So no sex for men went from 9% to 24, and for women it went from 8% to 13%. Okay. So why is it, you know, it's a 13%, it's 13% increase, and for women it's a 5% increase. Okay. Why is it nearly double, more than double for men than for women? Okay, because it is easier, but women are the ones who decide whether they want to spread their legs or not. Okay, is as graphic as that is, right? It really is like it's as simple as that, because men are the ones who are supposed to approach. Men are the ones who are supposed to make the first move. The woman's like yes or no. That's it. Is that easy for a woman? Yes or no? Okay, which is why. So now, because there's so much choice, women are saying no to more men, right? Double the amount of women, than men are, right? And there's some women, I don't know, like, we're also living a post-COVID society right now where many people are also feeling more social anxiety. Many people have more mental health issues, okay, because they're isolated, right? How do you relieve mental health issues? Okay, like, unless they're very extreme, like, medical grade schizophrenia, right? Medical grade bipolar syndrome, like, unless that, like, sometimes they're just surface level, like, oh, I feel a little bit anxious because I have not spent a lot of time around people and I don't know how to behave. um how do you cure that? In the past, right, you would cure it by, taking someone down the pub, getting them plastered, enough times where they stop thinking about that shit. Okay. That they've been in enough social settings where they don't even fucking need to think twice about that type of environment, that type of social setting, that they just kind of get used to. Many people just we need exposure therapy, to be around the opposite sex, to be around, um, social, um, social settings where they can feel comfortable being in a busy environment, right? But because since COVID, like, many people are just isolated now, and it's getting worse. It's going to get worse, okay? Because now you can imagine if you got social anxiety. Okay, now imagine, right, like, and it's not attractive for you to go outside, right, to go meet people. So you're going to stay home in the comfort of your own home where you can feel relaxed. Great, you can play video games, you can talk to maybe people online while you're playing Call of Duty, Fortnite, where the fuck you play. You're hungry, you don't need to go to a restaurant. You can call Uber Eats. Okay, you can call Deliveroo, you can call DoorDash, right? You've got all these, modern day comforts to help you ease along and feel like normal, right? So of course you're never going to venture outside. And what happens when you stop going outside? Those parts of your life, the going and socializing part of your mind, your body, that's going to atrophy, right? And if you're somebody who's happy inside, there's no need to go to the gym, okay? Because nobody's going to see you, right? So what's the point of looking good, being in shape? Then your actual body starts to atrophy. Now you're out of shape. Now you look, now you look like a mess, right? And then, you have even less incentive. It's this downward loop that people get themselves into. Okay, you need to get yourself out there. You need to get rid of the self doubt, the fears that you have that are holding you back. This is what I help my clients with. Okay, you need to start imagining yourself to be a person who can bring about change. And if you don't, right, you've got two choices. You can rot in your fucking bedroom, right? You can be like this, socially anxious person who never achieves nothing in the world, who's not having any sex, who doesn't contribute to society. Okay, you're gonna die. Nothing's gonna happen with your life. Okay, nobody's gonna give a shit. Okay, or you can just give it a go, right, and try to change the world. Right, that you can do both of those things. Right, it's up to you what you choose. I'd write. Look, if I start this channel, okay, and it gets me nowhere, right? I'm doing this. I'm gonna do it till the end of the year. Live stream pretty much every day. Put out one video every single day to the end of the year. If nothing happens after it, yeah, I can just, be like, okay, yeah, it was pretty shitty. Fuck it, and then just, leave it at that. Right. But at least I tried. Okay. And then if I want to become like a socially anxious cunt, who does nothing with their life, I can still do that. There is some fun in being an antisocial cunt, isn't there? There is something about just eating fast food all the time. There is something great about not exercising, just watching brain rot content, right? Because it's funny. Some of the shit that I watch online, okay, some of the brain rot content is funny, right? It's not good for you. Okay, it's not good for you. I don't need to go out and meet a real woman to have sex with. I don't need a girlfriend. I could just have a wank. I could just have a wank, and I could just be happy at home, be like, yeah, okay, great. I'm just jerking off all the fucking time. It could be a great existence. Why not? Hey, why not? It could be a great fucking life. I kind of want to be around people, which is why I'm not a wanker, which is why I'm not a jerk off. I kind of want to, be socially respected, have people that respect me, have friends. I want to have these social interactions with people. Okay, that is why I'm trying to find like-minded people. That is what I'm doing. That is what we are all about. We are trying to create a new network to help alleviate the problems of the world.
Decade, male virginity doubled overnight. 10% of men in that age range said they had never had sex. The Institute for Family Studies put it plainly. Sexlessness among young men had roughly doubled across every measure. For women, it's up about 50%. And this isn't just one rogue data set. The 2024 General Social Survey backed it up. About 25% of men aged 18 to 29 no sex in the past year. For women, 18.5%. The Kinsey Institute, one of the most recognized names in sex research, found that 1 in 4 Gen Z adults had never had partnered sex at all. For young men, it was 1 in 3. The trend didn't just materialize at age 21.
I mean, this is why having sex is an important part of the human experience. It's important for your mental well-being, okay, because it releases great levels of hormones within your body, right? Like, this is why governments, if it's an epidemic, we need to really make sure that prostitution, okay, sex work is regulated, okay, so people have access to sex, right? It's a saying that there's a starvation, that 1 in 4 people within Gen Z aren't eating, okay, they're dying of starvation, right? It's the same thing, right? But because the effects of no sex are felt more long term over many years, right, that it has an effect of not death, but it causes low self-esteem, it causes depression, right? But because you can't see those effects, in the short term, it's more of a long-term effect, that it's not regarded as an emergency. It is an emergency, okay? This is why, you need to have, men should be introduced to fucking escorts. Escort maxing should be a thing right now, okay? Because these people need to have sex. These people need to be getting laid so that they can feel that they are a fucking human, okay? That they're not just a disgusting human being who has nothing to live for.
The roots go back to adolescence. In 2000, 80% of high school seniors had gone on a date that year. By 2023, 40.
And dates, even if you do go on a date, it is a horrible experience. If you've been on a date recently, okay, it's literally about men and women coming together, right? Who've been taught by YouTube, okay, Instagram and TikTok about red flags, right? So that you have two, literally two young men, like one young man and one young woman coming together, and in their head, all they are replaying, who've got no life experience, okay? Let's imagine that they're about 18, 19, 20 years old, okay? And no life experience, no context of the real world, okay? All the experiences, but they've been trained about dating, right? Dating strategies, by through online content. So you have a man who's been taught by Andrew Tate, being like, okay, you need to ask about her fucking body count, okay, ask about her, promiscuous behavior, okay, like, is she going to be a good mother, right? And then you have the woman on the other side be like, if a man asks you any of those questions, it's a red flag. So you just have literally two human beings come together, asking each other questions which they heard about online, right? Looking for red flags which they heard about online, never getting together because they are literally on the other side of the spectrum ideologically, because of the content that they have consumed online. everything's fucking online, okay, and it's fucking up real communication, real relationships in the world. This is why we need to come back to forming communities, okay. This is why I'm trying to reach out to people, to find 100 people who can connect with me, who understand what I'm doing, who understand what I am about, the values that I have, what the beliefs I have, to who share similar sort of beliefs, to come together, work together, and find better solutions for the people of the world.
5%, cut nearly in half. Only 56% of Gen Z adults say they had any romantic relationship during their teen years. Compare that to 78% of boomers, 76% of Gen X. 45% of Gen Z men had zero relationship experience as teenagers. That's double the rate of older generations. The CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Survey shows that only 32% of high school students in 2023 had ever had sexual intercourse.
So in 1991, it was 54% in 1991 students had intercourse, okay? And then in 2023, only a third, right? Like, and this trend is going to keep decreasing. Now, I don't know if you can see on this graph, like between 2021 and 2023, okay, it's dropped by 2%. Whereas, okay, yeah. So it is a trend that is continuously going to come down. To the point of, I believe, where we are at maybe 25%. I think that is where it will kind of stop, because people still will have intercourse. Women still need to have intercourse, but they will just continuously to have intercourse with the top 20% of men, which is what apparently the statistic is. The 80-20 rule, that only 20% of men procreate. That is where we're headed towards. However, since 2019, it's come down by 6%, from 38 to 32. And then in 2011, it was nearly 50%, and it came down by nearly about 10%. So yeah, every 8 years is coming down by 10%. So in 2020. We should be around 30%, which kind of, yeah, makes sense. So I reckon it'll kind of round off around 20% in the future.
In 2021, that number was 54%. So we're not just staring at a blip. This is a generational shift, one that started in the teenage years and accelerated into adulthood. Now, here's where the story goes from young people aren't hooking up to something much bigger. Because the decline in sex doesn't exist in a vacuum. It sits on top of a collapse in friendship, socializing, and basic human contact. The Atlantic's Derek Thompson coined a term for it, the antisocial century. And the numbers back him up. Americans historically spent 6.5 hours.
It's not just becoming antisocial. It's also, we're more divided about topics like race, immigration, gender inequality, LGBTQ, transgender people, like even if these people are a small minority within the community, it's just fears and doubts and worries being broadcasted to you. And where do you pick up on all this shit? It is by the online discourse. So you're viewing this shit online, and it makes you more apprehensive, more worried about the future, and it either puts you in the group of people who are um, the majority being harmed by the influx of minorities, or you're one of the minority who are being hated towards, and who pushed prejudiced views onto by the majority. So either way, people keep falling into these fucking camps of you either a victim or you're a perpetrator, right? But everybody's a victim, apparently. Even if you're part of the majority, you're still a victim, okay? The real issue is the real problem lies with the people who are running the world, the people who are running these algorithms, the people who are running these tech companies, okay? What is their agenda? What is who's their loyalty towards, okay? And I really encourage you to look into the World Economic Forum, the WEF, and the same people who run these companies, these multinationals, okay, the heads of government, ministers, um, you know, chancellors, presidents, who are all signed up to this, you know, not for profit organization that nobody has elected, that nobody's asked for, right? The WEF, World Economic Forum, okay, that they are pushing a, you know, this constructed narrative, you know, to kind of, you know, drive people down this corridor towards a certain agenda that they're trying to reach. And because they are the ones who kind of want all this shit to happen, but nobody ends up looking at them, okay? Because they're not the immediate enemy. The immediate enemy is, oh, okay, all these immigrants, okay, all these white nationalists, okay, all these, you know, transgender people. Like everybody is trying, like they're trying to divide us so that we never look at the root cause of the issue. Okay, what these people in charge of the world, what they're trying to accomplish. Okay, we need to look above who is running the world. The elites are the ones who are causing these issues.
A week with friends. Between 2014 and 2019, before COVID, that dropped to 4. By 2024, the average American was getting 35 minutes of in-person social time per day, down from 42 a decade earlier. Young people.
Yeah, COVID really, you know, increased the amount of time that we've spent online on screens, because, you know, it's just fucking easier to stay home, isn't it? You can stay there in your fucking underwear. You don't have to have a shower. You can just fucking scroll online. You can even be part of a WhatsApp group. You have post funny memes, and you think you got a real fucking friend. That is where we are in the world. That is how relationships are formed. It is the wrong way to go about it.
People got hit the hardest. 15 to 25-year-olds are spending 26 fewer minutes per day socializing in person than they did in 2003. That adds up to 13 hours a month that just evaporated. Teenagers now spend about 40 minutes a day with friends outside of school. That used to be 140 minutes. Meanwhile, the average teen racks up nearly 9 hours of screen time daily. The downstream effects are brutal. 79% of Gen Z reports feeling lonely, the worst of any.
That's 80. That's 80%. I mean, it might as well be 80% of Gen Z are lonely. I mean, if you've heard of the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, okay, so that means 20% of Gen Z, 21% of Gen Z are happy, feeling that they have a friend. 79% are lonely. That is a disaster. Like, I can't fathom that. Like, I can't believe it that 80% of a whole generation of people are lonely, and it's not a national crisis. Okay, like this is a pandemic. This is the pandemic of our society over times. Okay, you know, it's not. It is like. Could you imagine like I don't know, like a 13, 14, 15-year old with no friends? Okay, a 16, 17, 20-year old with no friends. Like it is. I don't even know what the cutoff point for Gen Z is, but like you get my point, right? Like you have this generation of people who have no friends, and they have no friends, and then they get older 5 years into the future, still have no friends. Okay, and then these people become adults, they have no friends. How are they ever going to meet a partner? Like it is, you know, these figures of no friends will lead to, you know, 80% of people have no partner. They have 8% of society has no children. Like this is where we're headed towards the world. This is what the elites want, by the way. Okay, they want this to happen. They're happy about this. They don't give a fuck. This is why you don't see it in mainstream media. This is why you don't see it on the news. They want you to be lonely. They want you to be weak. They want you to be isolated, because, you know, they kind of want you to die off, right? Because they want to inherit the world. They want to inherit your assets. They don't want you to pass it down to anybody. Okay, they want governments. They want elite societies to absorb these things. This is what they are trying to do, and I'm telling you that there is an alternative. You know, that we here at Royal Instinct, we are trying to form a family. We're trying to form a royal alliance of kings. We're trying to form the Amicis, a group of friends who have each other's backs. Okay, don't be part of the 79% of the world who are lonely. Have a friend in your fucking life. Live a life of luxury. Enjoy a fucking life. Okay, so short life. Okay, if you are somebody who's socially anxious, who's like, oh yeah, you know, life's tough, I'm part of the 80%, 79%. And the world, you know, it's a hard place to live. What have you got to fucking lose? You're going, you know, you're already lonely. You've got no friends. You might as well try it. you might as well be the fucking voice who changes the world. Okay, that is what we're about. That is what we're doing. That is why we stay winning.
Generation. The average person now says they have 2 close friends. A few decades back, it was 5. And 15% of men say they don't have a single close friend. That number has multiplied by 5 since 19.
Men with 0 close friends, 3% in 1990. Now it's 50%. Like these figures are getting out of control, and the fact that the government isn't really doing anything about it. Do you know what I mean? It is a worrying time. It's a worrying feat.
1990, 27% of Gen Z adults have no close friends outside of family.
That's nearly a third. That's at least 1 in 4. Of Gen Z has no close friends outside. Outside the close family. So what? The mum, the dad, or a sibling. And I don't know about you, like like me. I remember me, and my sibling. I've got one sister. Like we wear each other's throats. Like I love her to bits, right? But I'm going to take the piss out of her, right? Like it's not like the healthiest relationship. Like, do you get what I mean? So it's not like you couldn't consider it as a fucking friend. Like these are sad statistics.
43% have none at work. The US Surgeon General declared a national loneliness epidemic. His specific comparison, the health damage from chronic isolation is on.
And if you think about it, right? If you think about it, okay, like when you could smoke in fucking bars and pubs and clubs, right? Um, people were less lonely, then they kind of stigmatized cigarettes, and now everybody's lonely, and it's causing mental health issues. Like you might as well start smoking cigarettes. Okay, yeah, you might end up with fucking lung cancer in old age, and boo hoo hoo, but at least you get to live a fucking life, right? Like think about it. Like I'd rather smoke 15 a pack of cigarettes a day, okay, live up until like 40, 50 years old, right, and die of cancer, than have no friends my whole life, do nothing with my life, okay, stay isolated, have no fucking friends, but have my supposed health, because you're lonely anyway. Like it's the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes. It's time to start smoking, I guess. I think we need to bring cigarettes back. We need to bring tobacco back. I'm endorsing tobacco at this point. Okay, we need to bring back drinking, right? We need to be in pubs. Like at least be a fucking alcoholic, right? At least be in a pub, right? At least have a habit, right? Have a drink. Waste your life away to a drink rather than wasting your life away to being lonely in your bedroom with no social skills. At least, look, I'd rather live 5 good years having a good active social life, okay, having an active, healthy smoking habit and a drug habit, right? Then be lonely. Like it is time to start bringing vices back. Okay, we need to legalize cocaine.
Par with smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Elevated risk of anxiety, depression, heart disease, stroke, and premature death. There's a concept in sociology called third places. Not home, not work.
Yeah, like a third place is basically, not where you work, not or school, not where you live. It is somewhere else where you can get to chill, like a pub, right? Like a nightclub, like a cafe, like a mall, right? Like somewhere where we can chill and meet up with friends, like a park, right? These things don't exist anymore in society, right? This is why friendships, because it's too expensive to have friends. That is what the issue is. It is too expensive to do things for free with friends, to chill with friends, right? Like you go around somebody's house, you have to drive there. Most people, if your friends that you meet in school, and then you have to move away because of your job. Now you're away from your friends, and because people don't have any friends, they can't have any social skills to make new friends. That is why they end up isolated. It is absolutely out of control.
The coffee shop, the park, the mall, the bar, the community center.
Yeah, let's jump a bit further along because we only got a little bit of time left.
To face contact with her friends. Let that sit for a second. Between 80 and 90% of young adults report having been exposed to pornography. The average first exposure, somewhere between.
Yeah, I mean, like people have no friends, but they get exposed to it. 90% of people get exposed to porn between the ages of 10 and 13. Like it is absolutely out of control where society is heading.
Between ages 10 and 13. Among men under 30, about 17% use it daily, 2.5 times the rate of.
Of course, they're going to fucking use it daily, because they still got the urges of sex, but they don't have the social skills to fucking meet any women anymore in society. It, it I don't know why this guy is so outraged by it. It's like, yeah, of course, like, if they're not fucking having sex, they're gonna jack off that sperm somewhere else. Like, it is the natural
Of older
consequences.
men. Heavy use has been linked to lower rate of sexual satisfaction, weaker commitment in relationships, and for roughly 45% of heavy male users, erectile dysfunction. But there's one
Great. So now, not only do you have a lonely group of men, half of them, 45% of them, cannot even get an erection. Great.
important wrinkle. The casual direction is debated, and one finding really complicates attention, but it is not evidence that 80% of men are invisible to women in the real world. Studies consistently show that people end up with partners of roughly similar attractiveness. Researchers call this assortative mating. But
The problem with assorted mating is, like, even if you end up with a partner that you're supposed to be with, like, because women, because the top 20% of guys are pumping and dumping a lot of these women, right? Like, so a lot of women have negative experience with men, so they kind of get jaded by the time they meet their fucking the person that they're supposed to be with. And the man who gets that woman, because he's been thirsty his whole fucking life, he ends up in a position where he well, throughout his life, his self-esteem took such a battering that he kind of, becomes this, um, like this total neutered guy, right? Who's got no backbone, who's not willing to, have real serious conversations with his partner because he's worried about, offending her and losing her.
and this is the part that matters, the perception has become its own force. When young men believe that the system is rigged, many of them just quit. And when they quit, they go looking for explanations. And some of those explanations lead to very dark corners of the internet. We need to talk about what might be the most underreported factor in this entire story: the political and ideological rift between young men and young women.
Yeah, because the opposite sides of the spectrum, and this is what society wants. They want you divided. They want you at each other's throats, not progressing your own lives, worried online. Because that's how you become easier to control. Okay, they want to stigmatize the opposition.
In more than a decade, more young men call themselves Republicans than Democrats. Young women moved the opposite direction. About 65% voted for Democrat.
And I remember. I mean, look, you've always had Democrats and Republics. In any country, you have main two political parties who sit on a Democratic side, a conservative side, right? And a more liberal side, I guess, a more socialist side, right? So Democrats, Republicans. In England, you have Labour, conservatism, right? And conservatives, Tories. So you're gonna fall on one side of the spectrum, okay? But it never meant that you were racist if you were a Republican or a conservative, okay? It's just you are more about keeping the older traditions, society in a place where it doesn't progress as quick. Whereas liberalism or socialism or Labour or Democrats, right? Those type of policies want kind of embrace and just lean, into the future, a newer society quicker, right? Whereas the conservatives are trying to pull back and hold on to, what the society they grew up in. Okay, so it shouldn't really be outrageous on what side of the spectrum you fall into. It shouldn't be as divided way it is. Okay, because this is why having this gap between people within young communities is why they're not having sex. Okay, because they'll meet each other up and be like, okay, what do you vote for politically? Literally, bear in mind they just turned 18, right? And they're having these conversations. It's absolutely wild. It is what's separating them. It's why, like how are you going to fucking have a romantic experience with somebody when you were like, well, Donald Trump's a cunt and Barack Obama is married. Barack Obama, married a potential transgender woman to a man called Michelle, like Michael, right? Like it is absolutely wild the way society is structured at the moment.
In both 2020 and 2024. Now, some important nuance. Gallup's own researchers say that the gap is mostly driven by women becoming more liberal faster, not by some mass male migration to the far right. Polarity of young men still identify as moderate, but the cultural realignment is real, and the 2024 election deepened it. The divide runs well beyond the ballot box. 61% of Gen Z women call themselves feminist. 43% of Gen Z men do. 45% of young men approve of Trump's handling of immigration. Only 21% of young women do. A global
Like, this is sad, isn't it? Like, when you have like, look, like if you're over the age of 30 and you're involved in politics, good for you, right? But if you're under the age of 20, under the age of 30, and you care that much about politics, right? That it stops your fucking sex life, like something is wrong in the world. Okay. It's a sad state that we live in, right? That now we all must care about fucking politics so much. This is why some idiot like Donald Trump gets elected. Okay. This is why somebody like Donald Trump gets into power, because so many fucking people watch their shit on TikTok, on social media. And Donald Trump is a funny TikTok meme. He's a funny guy to make fun of online, right? But then you get fed so much of his content, you then be like, yeah, he's got a fucking point. And because he pisses so many people off, you kind of, especially the idiots in society, they kind of want him to succeed because he makes so many people angry, right? It is a absolute joke.
Studies spanning 30 average slightly left of center, not far right. More than half were employed or in school full time. What defined this group wasn't ideology, it was pain. 86% of them had been severely bullied. 30% met clinical.
Yeah, I mean, people within the incel demographic, they have experienced massive trauma. They aren't able to access society. Okay, they aren't able to access, um, you know, make friends because they don't have the right social skills. They don't get to be part of, youth societies, youth experiences like going to a nightclub, having, being part of a frat house, being, drinking, having this college university experience. Okay, because they don't have the social skills to make friends, right? Because they've been isolated for so long, because they grew up on the internet. This is why we need to bring back real life communities. This is why we need to bring back real life interactions. This is what I'm about here, right? I'm trying to, find. Look, I'm not trying to fucking change the world, right? Don't get it wrong. Don't get twisted. I don't give a fuck about most people, right? I'm just trying to find like-minded people who understand ways that I'm saying what I'm about, who want to chill, who want to meet up in real life, who want to have real life experiences to bring about change, so that we can discuss the way that we can overthrow and rule the world and become the new de facto leaders of the world. Because the people who are in charge right now, they do not have your best interest. Okay, they are the worst people in charge. They only care about further hurting minimal people, whereas at least I and the people who follow me and the people that I want to be friends with, okay, those are the people who want to actually bring about change to the world for the benefit of humanity, because we actually care about society. Okay, we want to usher in the right way, the new way to further enhance the new phase of evolution, the new way that the world should work. Okay, because we are good, benevolent people. That is why we stay winning. That is why we are in control. That is why we are the ones who are should be running the world. Okay, if you understand what it is that I am saying, if you understand what it is that I'm doing, if you want to be a part of it, if you want to reach out and have a chat with me, let me know. But that is it for today. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow.